7:34. That's not bad for me. That is not bad for me in the slightest. I have so many drinks right now, so we're gonna go through my drinks. One, I have my water. Where is my hydro flask, you ask? My boyfriend has coronavirus, and he's borrowing it because he had already been drinking out of it. And I was like, you know what? You're sick. You need to be hydrated. Take it. It's all yours. So once he doesn't have coronavirus, I'm just gonna disinfect it and take it back. And I really miss it because I keep knocking this one over and spilling water, and it doesn't keep it as cold for long, and therefore it does not taste as good, and it's just much less of a vibe. ZK Butterworth, hi. First time chat, is it your first time here? So that's drink number one. Drink number two, we have a Mike's White Hard Freeze. That's drink number two. Drink number three, we might drink, we might not. A Dr. Pepper. That's drink number three. Hi. Hello. How are we doing? Oh, it's your first time here. Welcome. You picked a good week to come. I'm in love with the lesson today. It's really long. I accidentally got carried away and made a 70 slide Nearpod. It's actually 74 slides, so whoopsies. Also, I have to tell you, so I live to eat. Really eating is I love it. I love eating so much. I love food. I'm very much a hedonist. Anything I want, I'm gonna have it. So all I care about is food. So I literally just finished eating. That's why I was late. Because I actually timed myself to be on time today, but then I left my food in the air fryer too much, so it was too hot, so I had to wait for it to cool down before I could eat it, which was annoying, and that's why I was late. But anyway, so even though I'm full and I just ate, I'm excited for my post-dinner, or my post-stream dinner, because I got Chili's for lunch. I DoorDashed Chili's because I'm literally the fucking worst. But the Chili's by my house, you have to pay to park, so if I'm going to spend money, I'm not going to do any work, you know what I mean? Anyway, DoorDash Chili's had the honey chipotle chicken crispers. It was great. Ate that for lunch. Didn't finish it. Just air fried my leftovers and ate that. But yesterday I went grocery shopping at Trader Joe's, and I got the tomato feta soup and the Trader Joe's baguette bread, and I'm going to eat that before I go to sleep because all I just ate just now was 1.5 chicken tenders, and then I put 4 pizza rolls in there just for good measure. And I am very confident I'm going to be hungry again. So I'm going to have soup later, and I'm so excited to eat my Trader Joe's soup. I accidentally made a 50-page PowerPoint on the Romanov family, so I felt that. I saw someone on TikTok who made a 37-slide PowerPoint about how they think Kylie Jenner has fetal alcohol syndrome, which is not funny, but the fact that they made the PowerPoint is funny, you know what I mean? So many people here. C-Bonds, Lemur Banana, I Am's Pet Food, Betty Crocker Homemaker, Ket009, Bree Page 97. Thank you all for being here. Oh my god. Okay, I'm actually gonna have my shit together today and get started and not get distracted because I don't want to be here till 11:30. This is a really, really long one. Just burnt my finger. Yay, PowerPoints were made in that. PowerPoints were made in that PowerPoint, right? I didn't see it, but from what I've heard. Okay, so anyway, today we're going to be learning about the progressive era, and it started in the 1890s to okay, I guess I just gave up on typing. It was the 1890s to the 1910s, really, or 1920s more and basically our country got a lot better, and our government was fine, you can have some rights, I guess. Really only for white people. To caveat this whole lesson today, really only for white people. This is when the white working class got rights. And this was in, the 1910s. And then, the civil rights movement was in, the 1950s to 80s, really. But yeah, so just as a caveat. I mentioned that a few times, but, Oh my god, they made this different. Add an activity. Cool. You can open a whiteboard. Here's the participants are here now. I can make you a co-teacher or remove you. That's cool. Huh, they changed the layout. I can turn it on to self-paced. Nearpod's really, becoming that girl. I'm kind of upset that I'm not in the classroom anymore because, Nearpod is that bitch now. When I was first using Nearpod, I loved her, but she was kind of janky. She was not perfect by any means. Also, I burned the shit out of my mouth on a pizza roll. For the first time in my life, I had to take the L on a pizza roll. Every time I put it in my mouth and it's too hot, I fight through it. I'll burn my mouth. I don't give a fuck. I'll be And I keep that pizza roll in my mouth because I'm not going to admit defeat and spit it out. But this time it was so fucking hot. It hurt so bad. I spit it out. It looked so nasty. I threw it away. Oh, my nose is stuffy. You guys, I have to tell you something. And I hope this stays within the circle of trust because I don't want to get canceled for this. But anyway, my boyfriend has coronavirus and my boss is still making me come into the office because my company just like follows CDC guidelines, and CDC guidelines say if you're vaccinated, you don't need to quarantine. But like I've been taking care of him and stuff because he's been really, really sick. So like I thought I was going to have coronavirus, but it has been a week. It has been a week since he started showing symptoms, and I tested negative on a PCR today. How is that possible? I've been taking tests like literally every day. I've been wearing a mask. Like I've been kind of trying, but like I've been around him. Like I didn't like get away from me, you know, because like I'm not going to leave you when you're sick. That's terrible. How do I not have COVID right now? And the other reason, my roommate has COVID. So my roommate, not the one we chat about, not that one. I don't know where she is. The one we chat about, I don't know. You wear a mask in the home near him? Not now, because I thought, like, I was going to test positive, and then I just haven't. Like, I've been around him unmasked, because when he first started showing symptoms, he didn't think it was COVID. So I had already been around him, like, unmasked. I'd already been around him unmasked, so then I was like, oh, damn, let me go get tested. I tested negative, and then I was, like, keeping away from him, and then I was just still testing negative, and he was sick. So I've been around him unmasked in the house, yeah. That's what I mean. It's crazy. Like, I've been in such close contact with both of them. Like, great, you've been healthy, but with a strange thing this is, right? That's what's shocking me, is I'm like, do I call the CDC? And I'm like, hi, study me. Like, I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this, though. But let's see what progressive era things we wanted. Cancel student debt, literally any progress. Literally everything he promised in the campaign. Newsies forever. At this point, we're desperate. CDC is going to study you now. No, literally. And, like, there's been other times that I was like, how did I not catch it? How did I not catch it? I'm going to tell you other times that I was, like, being unsafe and probably should have caught coronavirus. So one, I shared a cake with my coworker. Like, we were like eating off of the same piece of cake. She tested positive 2 days later, and that was when I'd only had one dose of the vaccine. I never tested positive. That time I did quarantine because I wasn't vaccinated yet. And then another time that I can't remember if I was vaccinated or not. After school was helping a student, and we weren't wearing masks because, like, I just couldn't hear them, and they were saying they couldn't hear me, and I was like, and I just got frustrated, so we weren't wearing masks, and they tested positive. Like, there's been other times that I was like, wow, that was a really close call, I shouldn't have gotten it. Oh, and one time I was at my aunt's house, and, like, I left, and then, like, the 2 days after I left, like, our whole family tested positive, and then I took, like, 3 tests, none of them were positive. And I'm just, like, really in awe and very, very grateful because that's crazy to me. Tonight I found out I didn't get a job. I really wanted. I'm handling it okay. Pretty bummed, but not rending my hair and clothing. Do you carry it and not have symptoms? Is that even a thing? The chat isn't on the screen. Oh, thank you for telling me the chat isn't on the screen. Thank you. I don't know why that happened. I don't know, because... So I don't think it's that, because I get tested on a very regular basis. Like, just because I'm in an office with a lot of people and I've gotten exposed a few times, like, I just get tested on a very regular basis. So it's possible that I had it at some point and was asymptomatic, because it's not like I've gotten tests, like, every day forever. So that is possible, but I don't think so. Dodging COVID harder than we're dodging Ron DeSantis. I'm just very grateful. I'm hoping I still test negative. I know it's like I'm not out of the woods, because it can be in you for 14 days, and I'm on day like 7, so we shall see. Miss Redacted is built different. I really think the reason I haven't caught COVID is because I taught pre-K. Also, I'm going to give you some ASMR right now. Maybe I am. We'll see. I have to open it with, like, a thingy because of my nails. Okay. I have it for the second time. I hate COVID so much. COVID is awful. My boyfriend really does not feel good. I feel so bad for him. This is a good one. It's a little too sweet, but it's good. I've kind of been losing my taste for alcohol recently, except for Truly lemonades. That I love. Daycare workers. Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about. So, when I got hired to work at that daycare, or it was an early Head Start center, not a daycare, I was sick for the first month and a half. Those kids rocked my shit. They would cough in my mouth. I started there, in the fall, so it was like then flu season happened, and like they would snot all over me, and I was in the 1-year-old room, and it was just disgusting. And back then, I don't know, I wasn't as good of a cleaner as I am now. Like, I don't know, like when COVID happened and like when I got my own apartment and stuff, I just like learned better cleaning habits, I guess. So I don't think I was like cleaning my apartment as well as I should have that I was living in and stuff like that. So I'm sure that made it worse. I also didn't really drink any water then, which I do now. But variety of factors, I was just getting sick fucking constantly. I had to go on antibiotics a whole bunch of times. And I really have not gotten sick since, which is dope. My symptoms have been mild both times, but it's so annoying to have to quarantine. Yeah. Exactly. God. Okay, so let's learn about the Progressive Era. We have a lot of slides to go through. So what are we doing today? We're learning about the Gilded Age is like the name of this entire time period. I know on TikTok I said it was going to be the progressive movement. Oh, I forgot to post on Instagram that we're here. I have pants on. It didn't really look like it, but I do. My foot is asleep. Oh my God. Let me post on Instagram that we're here. I'm getting stressed out. Okay, so I know I posted on TikTok that we were going to be talking about the Progressive Era, which we are, but I really couldn't explain the Progressive Era without just explaining the entire time period. So we're really going to talk about the entire time period, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So yeah, the first thing we're going to do is Gilded Age is giving me flashbacks to A-Push. This is going to be like A-Push, but more based. Also, it is going to be kind of like A-Push because a lot of these slides are from when I was a teacher. I changed them and I added a ton of stuff and I added a ton of memes. Like, it's 70 slides and like 30 of them are from teaching. So, I deleted out all of like Ron DeSantis' Florida propaganda that I had to use though. I would never use that much of it, but I did use our textbook. But anyway, so then we're going to learn about the progressive movement, which also includes the labor movement. We're not going to do like in depth, but we'll learn a little bit about it, and then we'll learn about like the changes and reforms from the era. So here, let me post this on the gram, the Instagram. I hate Instagram so much. I really don't know how to work my phone. It's like kind of upsetting. Is the chat broken? It is. I love that for us. Delete. New. Thank you. Come here. Also, I want to change the layout of my screen a little bit. Oh my God. Can people stop fucking texting me? There we go. That's a little bigger. Woohoo! Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Gouda Lover. Okay, sorry. I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. This is like overwhelming me and I'm getting overstimulated and it's starting to piss me off. You know when you just get overstimulated and then you start to get really angry? Also, I need to shake my legs. I don't need to. I want to. So anyway, let's focus. The Second Industrial Revolution. Basically, the First Industrial Revolution was in Great Britain, and that's when they were like, hey, maybe we should use a machine instead of doing everything by hand. I'm not going to talk about that, because one, I don't know that much about it, and two, I don't fucking care. The Second Industrial Revolution, which I do care about, is where we got, like, automation and stuff. Oh my God, the fucking chat is never working. I don't know why. I just got mad. I don't like this. I like low-key have anger issues. Not high-key, but like I have anger I've anger no-nos. I wouldn't go as far as saying issues. But anyway, second industrial revolution. This is the one that I care about. It looks like the chat is working now, but who fucking knows? This is basically when we got mass production. So instead of like one person using a machine to make something, a machine makes a lot of somethings really, really quickly. That's what mass production is. So this is when we started to see factories, really. Because you get how like a sewing machine is like where I'm sewing is different than like a huge one that's making the clothes and it's a person operating it, but like it's making dozens and dozens of clothes. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's just different. This is mass production. This is when we had mass production, standardization. This is also when patents became a thing. So being like, this is what I'm making, having standard sizes of things. Technology changed the world in a lot of ways. Cities got much bigger. We started using a clock instead of using the sun. Mass production, more like yes production. It was a tremendous transformation of people's lives, and rapid advances of steel, chemicals, and electricity helped fuel this. So this is when we started to pollute the environment. This is when we started our pollution era. So if you really think about it, we have just, I mean, it was like a little bit before this, but not that bad. If you really think about it, humans have destroyed so little, so quickly, which in one grain is depressing. In one literal way, that is quite depressing. But in another way, it's kind of liberating because it's like, oh, if we fucked it up so fast, maybe it could rebound. Like, we wouldn't be a part of the rebound. Like, we would die. Like, our generation would die, mostly. And then new humans would, like, start over from caveman times. And sometimes when I think about that too much, I start thinking about, what if that's just been going on and on and on and on? What if we're not the first ones this has happened to? And, like, the nuclear war that kills us is just so bad that that's why we never find the stuff from before, because everything got destroyed into dust. And then it starts over. Do you guys ever think about that? Really looking forward to the chat catching up to that, because there's, like, a lag. Like, when I'm talking, there's a lag for you all. So capitalism invented time. Yeah, capitalism did invent time, because before that, they didn't have standardized time. They didn't need it, because, like, you didn't go anywhere except your town. So they would use the sun to tell time. I feel it. Why do I have 19 text messages? God. Okay, I'm done. Passage joined. Oh my God, why is the chat broken again? I just always think how I'm going to die and never come back to life, and it trips me out. Oh, I believe I am going to come back to life, so that's why I don't really get tripped out. Like, I've been here before. Like, you don't have to convince me. I know I've been here before. This is not my first rodeo. I've been here, and it has not been good. I'm glad I'm not the only one having existential crises every day. So I hate telling people about this because everyone always looks at me like I'm experiencing deep psychosis, but I'm really not. Like, I just believe this. But every time I tell, like, especially men always, like, threaten to take you to a mental hospital when you say stuff like this. But I really think that, like, I am my grandmother. You know what I mean? Like, we're the same person. Like, her life was shitty, and she was a teacher too, and she just had to live her little shitty life where she was so depressed and hated everything. And so I got to come live all of her bad bitch dreams. I believe that. I've been here before. I couldn't tell you anything other than that. I have no evidence to prove it. Like, literally zip nada. I couldn't give you a memory. I couldn't give you something only I know. Like, no, I don't think it works like that. I don't think it's that literal. But I've been here. It's been a mess forever. That I can tell you. I just know that, too. OMG, look it up. It's about reincarnation, kinda. I'm so glad I'm not the only one who thinks about this shit. All us ghosties hanging out with ghosty redacted teaching. Y'all need to stop. I can't deal with the dying thing. Sometimes I have intense Truman Show paranoia. I can't look at the sky for too long or it gets worse. Okay, so moving on, Second Industrial Revolution. I don't think I was here for that. Miss Redacted classes in the afterlife. Let's go. So this is what I mean when I say some of this is from teaching days. This is like literally a picture of my student's textbook. I'm also very similar to my grandma, but I think I'm a better person. The same about Truman Show paranoia. Hi, Methadone Daddy. And Emma Petters, first time chat. Thank you. Also, Kay Byrne and Dr. Seuss. Thanks for following me. Okay, but anyway, let's look at the numbers. This is how much cities grew during this time. So New York went from 1.3 million people to 4.7 million people in just 40 years. Imagine that. Literally imagine that. Like, imagine the shift in just these 10 years. To go from 3.4 to 4.7, that is so many more people. There's no way they could keep up with that. There's no way. There's no way. Oh, Dr. Seuss, the hearts, thanks. San Francisco grew a lot too. You can see all the cities grew a lot, but New York, Philly, and St. Louis grew like a lot. So that's the Industrial Revolution. People are moving into the city. This is called urbanization because they're moving there to get good jobs. So urbanization, this is on the game, by the way. Wow, that's more like than 12 people. Yeah, exactly. So this is in the game. Urbanization, the definition is in the game. Also, I love this GIF. I think it's so funny. And this slide is directly from my students. Like, this is how I taught, like, for real. Like, I would put things like this in there all the time, and they thought it was so funny and cool. Actually, they didn't. They would kind of, like, humor me. They'd be like, and I'd be like, ha! I would say I'm my uncle, but he's still alive. Okay, but anyway, the word urban means city, so urbanization is a population shift from rural country to urban areas, the decrease of the proportion of people living in rural areas, and the ways in which society adapts to these changes. So it used to be like, I'm making these numbers up, these are like rough estimates, like 70% of people lived in rural areas and 30% lived in urban areas. Now it's like 60% live in urban areas and 40% live in rural areas. Like, it's just changing a lot. Also, I'm living for my curls right now. Would you believe I didn't do this? Look at that. Look at that. Love that for us. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. It's not your time to shine. Boom. Love the GIF. Also, how did he get back up from that? I don't know. I like how you all are still being existential in the chat. Some of this was peeps trying to escape the Polish famine and the rising anti-Semitism. Yes, we're going to get to immigration. That's good to know. I don't talk about that. I don't really talk about why people are immigrating here, but that is true. Okay. My face is itchy. So, you can see 1910, tons of immigrants. This is the patterns of immigration, 1910 especially. Oh, sorry, I keep burping. The late 19th century experienced one of the largest mass migrations in history. Millions of immigrants came to the United States from other parts of North America, as well as Europe and Asia. Immigrants who settled there were primarily there for economic opportunity because of industrialization. So also the person who said they were trying to escape the Polish famine and rising anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is like bigotry, hatred, violence towards people of the Jewish faith, and that was really on the rise in Europe, and there were some famines as well, like the Ireland had a famine. Where did you say? Poland had a famine. So as immigrants were, I feel like I missed a spot. Oh, they faced many challenges upon arriving. As they were coming to the United States, we saw a rise in nativism. Nativism is basically the hatred of immigrants. Nativism is different than racism. My students would always mix these two things up. And nativism is you're not hating the person because of the way they look. You're hating them because they're not from where you are from. A lot of times, nativism and racism go hand in hand. Like, they are BFFs, but they are two different things. But, like, that Venn diagram is mostly a circle, if that makes sense. So nativism is favoring native-born citizens over the needs of immigrants, and usually in fear that immigrants will take over culture and jobs. So the nativist attitudes that we see today, like the really right-wing, like, oh, these people are coming over the border and taking our jobs. This is when that kind of started. This is when the U.S. started to be on that kind of vibe. Yes, nativism causing my family to live in a rundown part of town for being Polish. Is this the same as xenophobia? Yeah, it's similar. That's a more, like, comparable term, I think, yeah. People think their immigrant ancestors were the right ones, but these are wrong. Yeah, for real. The hatred and fear of immigrants and immigration during this period was known as nativism or xenophobia. Nativism arose out of the tensions between native-born Americans and newly arrived immigrants. This is like from the textbook, and I would always hate like arose out of the tensions. Like that tension was one-sided. Like the people coming here had no beef. They had no beef. They were just like, hey, new to town, trying to get a job. I hope you guys are having a great day. Like, they had no beef. That is not a two-sided tension. And this is how I would teach as well. Like, I would literally be like, this is from the textbook, and I disagree with it because I feel like it's language that isn't inclusive. And the kids would be like, is this on the test? Okay, competition over jobs and general fear of the unknown perpetrated by myths and propaganda helped shape nativism into a strong political movement. Is it freezing and audio cutting for anyone else? Oh no, we're having mad technical difficulties. Oh, not for me? I'm sorry you're experiencing that, whatever, Cass. Immigrants in America have always been hated by locals. How embarrassing for us. Not for me. Okay, I'm glad it's not for everybody. Not for me, but could try refreshing the steam. That works for me. Thank you, everyone, for being helpful. This is also fueled by the idea of social Darwinism. I fucking hated teaching social Darwinism to my students because I would literally like have... K-Burn, thanks for being here. I would have so much to teach them in one day. I would literally have like 20 different things to teach them in one day. And social Darwinism is like, you have to understand so much to understand that. Like, one... they wouldn't know who Darwin was because, like, biology was a long time ago. I don't blame them. Why would you remember that if you don't care about it? Two, a lot of them didn't really understand what, like, the idea of evolution and strong, like, survival of the fittest. So it's like, now I gotta explain all this shit and we only have 5 seconds to do it. I would hate that so much. And it's, like, an important concept, but we just did not have the time. Literally, unless you're indigenous or were brought here by force because of slavery, everyone is an immigrant. A-push was genuinely overwhelming. Yeah, it is overwhelming. So social Darwinism was the idea that basically the people that are rich because they're smarter and stronger and better. And that, like, white, rich Americans are, like, the strongest, smartest, best, baddest bitches on the block is the idea of social Darwinism. So that's why also they hated immigrants so much because they were like, we're the baddest bitches. Who do you think you are? You get what I'm saying? That's kind of what their vibe check was on. Okay, so the old versus the new immigrants. Because remember, the people talking shit are also immigrants. We're going to call them the old immigrants because their families immigrated before. So old immigrants generally came to escape religious and political persecution, and they mostly spoke English. So a lot of them came from, like, England and places where they speak English. They often came to escape great hardships, for example, the Irish potato famine. So existing patterns of immigration changed when conditions in Western Europe improved while lowering transportation cost. Brought migration to America with new Europeans. The new immigrants came from different parts of Europe. Social Darwinism equals just the word fallacy. So the new immigrants are coming from other parts of Europe where they mostly don't speak English and they look different and had more of a different culture than Americans were used to. So that kind of contributed to them being met with a lot of hostility. The old immigrants were their versions of boomers today. So that kind of, like, the new immigrants were facing a lot more hostility because it's like you don't speak the language, maybe your skin tone is a little darker, like they're just getting shit talked and violence directed at them a lot more often. And they had more different religions. Like, people used to fucking hate Catholics. But yeah, many of them were also very, very poor and did not have the ability to read and write. They were illiterate. So you can see we used to have immigration primarily from Northern and Western Europe. And then in the 1980s, now it's from Southern and Eastern Europe. This is going to be on the game as well. Emma boomers. So again, here's like a new versus old, the before 1880 versus after 1880. The other difference is that a lot of these were in family groups, and then after 1880 it was a lot more like single people and young people and teenagers and things like that. So yeah, just kind of very different circumstances. How dare those Italians move into our English neighborhoods? No, literally. Wasn't there xenophobia against Irish immigrants at some point? Yes, I actually wanted to include this in here, but we already had so many slides and I didn't really have time to learn about it. But apparently, I saw something on the internet. So, like, Irish immigrants, everyone used to hate them. Like, it would be like, Irish need not apply, which meant, like, don't fucking apply to this job if you're Irish. People hated the Irish. And then I saw something on the internet about how the Irish used the police force to, like, gain the status of whiteness in the US. I don't know if that's really true. Also, weren't Italians also hated? Yes, that was during this time. Irish people have been hated. Italians were getting hated on a lot during this time. Like, those were the new immigrants, they're Italians. So Southern and Eastern Europe, that will be places like Eastern Europe towards Russia. Like, I don't want to name specific countries just because it's changed so much there, especially during this time. But anyway, a lot of people from Greece, a lot of people from Italy, a lot of people from Poland, places like in Eastern Europe. But yeah, so they were getting mad shit talk during this time. Wasn't there a bad famine in Ireland during that time, or am I thinking of something else? That was a little bit before. That was in the 1840s, but yeah. The Irish and British had a lot of history that also contributed. Yeah, people like, there's always just been beef with Ireland. Like, they're just a country that gets shit talked a lot and has always had some conflict, you know? But this is a really powerful political cartoon. This is cool. I love this political cartoon. Why did everyone hate the Irish? It's so random. It's just because they were the new kids on the block, literally. Can we not join the Nearpod? Sorry, I'm new. No, you can absolutely join the Nearpod. Here's the Nearpod. I put the link in the chat. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being new and being here. Sarah the Human, and Banana Bread Addict, thank you for following me. Okay, so anyway, this is an immigrant coming off of the boat. So you can see here's like the little plank thing on the boat. These are all rich Americans who, so like they're drawn fat to represent like wealth. They're drawn like fat to represent wealth, and then they have like all these fancy clothes on, and then you can see their shadows is supposed to be like their fathers and grandfathers that were immigrating to the U.S. like in prior generations. So I love this cartoon because it kind of shows the hypocrisy, and it was created during that time. So people were like thinking about this then, and basically like showing how, you know, resistant they were and how hypocritical that they were being. Yes, Germany, England, France, places like that where people speak English more often. They look a little paler, you know. All right, so immigrants, after risking their life to get to the U.S. just to arrive and find unsafe living and working conditions combined with violent nativism. Miss Redacted, I love you and I love Nearpod. Sorry to interrupt. You can always interrupt. This is a very pro-interrupting class. Let me know if you guys see a meme that's good for the class photo. I think I already might have just said that out loud, but yeah. Okay, so cities are growing because farmers are moving there, immigrants are moving there, and the Great Migration started happening a little bit later, but it did contribute to this. So the Great Migration, you can see right here, it's when tons of African Americans moved out of the South, because this is like, it really started after the Civil War. This chart says 1915 to 1970, but it really was like 1870 to 1970, if we're being honest. It increased a lot after 1915, but it didn't start then, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, lots of African Americans were leaving the South because, one, there were better jobs available in the North. The discrimination was so bad in the South, they couldn't get good jobs in the South. Two, the KKK was running the fucking South during this time. It was so dangerous to be black and live in the South. There were so many lynchings happening during this time. It was a really terrifying time because in the late 1870s, that's when they removed the troops out of the South. So that's when the Southern governments were like, haha, we get to do whatever we want again. We don't have to follow the rules anymore. Because after the Civil War, they put the military in the South to be like, hey, you can't fucking do slavery. So then when they removed the military, the South became very violent towards African Americans. So that's why a ton of people were moving out. Andrew Johnson really dropped the ball. So that's why a ton of people were moving out of the South, because of the violent racism and because of the economic opportunities in other areas. That's also when like Oakland and out west started to grow, like San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area, and Los Angeles. So all these people moved to the city for factory jobs, but what is it actually like working in the factory jobs? So very, very long hours and low wages. This is a picture right here. The growing number of Americans worked over 10-hour shifts 6 days a week, which, like, I used to do that when I was a waitress, so checkmate. The wages they earned were barely enough to support their families. Pay was extremely low. $1 to $1.50 was typical pay for men workers, while women were paid less and children the least. It was hardly enough to make a living and nearly impossible to support a family. I meant to do this before, but we're going to do it right now. An inflation calculator. So if they got paid $1.50, checkmate. So the earliest this will go is 1913, but better than nothing, you know? $1.50 in 1913 for a day would be $29.93. So that's a pretty fucking terrible daily rate, especially for 10 hours. That's like $2 an hour, which is the tipped minimum wage, but they do have to make it at least minimum wage. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. Sweatshops and unregulated work practices, love that for us. Yeah, literally. So $1 to $1.50 a day, and it was basically just terrible, dirty, unsafe, all the things. So I'm going to go through like the problems that workers were facing, obviously long hours and low pay, but impersonal conditions. Like jobs were just boring as fuck. Because if you think about like working on an assembly line, you do the same thing again and again and again and again and again and again and again for 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Like, that's not fun. It takes a mental toll on you. And this was a new job. So like people hadn't done this before. They were like, this is boring as shit. Like I sit at my desk and I'm like, oh my God. And I get to go on Twitter and sit down and there's AC. So like I can't imagine just having to stand there doing the same thing again and again. So not only was like the work impersonal, they also didn't really have relationships with the owners because most of these people had been working on like family farms or in small stores where the owner worked with them. So now they're working for some guy in some office that they've never met, and this is when like middle management became a thing. When was minimum wage established? I don't remember the exact year. I think it was during the Great Depression. When? I think I'm wrong though, actually. When was minimum wage created? Yeah, I was right. 1938. It's being Amazon warehouse. But yeah. Fuck, I got distracted. Oh, so it used to be like your boss works with you, and now there's this middle management. Your boss isn't there. It's just you don't feel connected to your work. You don't have the community and the humanity of it, which is what humans need. So it was also very difficult to move up. Like it was hard to get promotions. You couldn't find a job with higher wages. Like you didn't get paid the longer you were there. There were no promotions. There was no advancement at all. So kind of like teaching in a lot of counties where the first-year teacher makes the same as a teacher who's been there for 13 years. That's why I left teaching. But anyway, so it just sucked. Like, people had no options. They really, no advancement nightmare. Yeah, I think this is what gets people. Because people will put up with a lot if they think it's temporary. And they can be lying to themselves and it's not temporary. But if there's so much evidence that you're here forever and you don't know anyone who rose up, like, fuck. This is probably the biggest thing. Unsafe working conditions. Around 1900, there were about 35,000 deaths and 1 million injuries per year on industrial jobs. So many of these deaths occurred in railroad, triangle shirtwaist vibes. I think that's in a couple slides. Many of these deaths occurred on railroad jobs, which were especially dangerous. Machinery accidents, train wrecks, and other misfortunes were common. No federal regulation of safety existed. Insurance and pensions were rare. So now, chat is broken. Thank you. So now, let's say I get hurt at work and I'm doing something that's a part of my job. So like I had a friend when I was serving. She was lifting a tray of drinks and threw her shoulder out. That's covered under workman's comp. So she didn't have to pay for her doctor and she got paid while she was off. Like your job has a duty to protect you in that way. Legally, they have to if you get hurt at work. Back then, they didn't have any of those requirements. So if you got hurt at work, you got fired. It's like, oh, well, you're no use to us now, so go home. You didn't get pay, you didn't get unemployment, you didn't get disability, you didn't get anything. It was just like, bye, good luck. So a lot of those people died. The part that's really sad is a lot of people that got injured who, like, if they had had time off to rest, they might have recovered. They ended up, like, on the streets really quickly. So I feel like they probably died unnecessarily, even with the accident. You know what I'm saying? Like, the accident isn't what killed them. It was the aftermath. Sorry to flex, but my great grandma's uncle was ran over by a horse at work. Like recently or back then? My great grandma's uncle. I guess he's probably not working with horses right now. Um, Literally treated people like cogs in the machine. Yes, exactly. So no liability was seen if the employer was negligent. So the employer really had no motivation to make things safe other than the kindness of their own heart. And we know that capitalists don't have kindness in their heart. The other big thing, speaking of people not having kindness in their heart, child labor. Child labor ran rampant during this time. So textile mills and coal mines made use of child labor, especially because they had little hands. So you see these kids? Behind them, that's a giant sewing machine. Kids got hired to work with sewing machines because their hands are tiny, so they can like get in there and fix little things with the thread. So a lot of them would lose their fingers and toes because they'd also be barefoot to climb up the little machines. So yeah, like really fucking bad. The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. We're getting there. I'm still painting the picture, telling the story. Bear with me. So as many as 1 out of every 5 children under 15 was working outside the home. These children were deprived of opportunities for sunshine, fresh air, play, or to improve their lives by attending school. So you can see the kids were pretty young. I had a picture. Where'd it go? Oh no. Okay, it's on the next one. Okay, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire. Sorry, I was just excited. It's okay, I'm excited that you're excited. This was a factory fire where 164 female workers died. Basically, they were a shirtwaist. It's like a style of shirt, like a triangle shirt. Wait, I don't fucking know. It's like a shirt. It was like a clothing place. But anyway, they were in there, they were working, and they had the doors bolted shut so that they wouldn't try and leave work. Men's clothing. Yeah, so they were like, you can't take a break, we're bolting the door shut. And we didn't have any fire and safety regulations back then. So when a fire started, because it's a warehouse environment, fires start all the time. Like, fires start literally all the time. There are small fires in warehouses constantly. And, like, that's just part of the game. You put them out. You evacuate, whatever. Small fires started, turned into a big fire. They couldn't get out because the doors were bolted shut. I think New York University now owns that old building. I think they do. It was a woman's blouse that's basically copied from men. Oh. So a ton of women died. A ton of them also died by jumping out of the windows because they were trying to save themselves. I think triangle refers to the name of the factory, not the shirt. No, I think it is part of it. I don't know. But anyway, this made a lot of people be like, wow, we should do something. This really was kind of a catalyst for the progressive movement because people realized how bad it was. This is why people freak out when they talk about one entrance exit schools. It's a dumb idea. Exactly. You cannot have that many people getting out of one doorway. It's terrible. So here are some pictures from the time period. I meant to just put pictures of working conditions, but I accidentally put in some of people's houses. So you can see here the kids working on the little machines. Here's a bunch of kids. I think they worked in a coal mine. Oh, they would have the really little kids doing oyster shucking. So the really little kids, like ages 4-ish, like as soon as they're big enough to like hold a knife and like receive any type of direction, they would have them cut the oysters open. So a lot of them got hurt during there. Unsure about the triangle part now. This is why, I already read that one. Hold a knife. Yeah, literally. And it was like a tinder box because wooden building and a bunch of fabric, right? Yeah, basically is like prime for a fire. Here's a picture again, the super unpersonal conditions. This little girl, this picture was very, very famous. Give them sharp tools, smart move. This is what the housing was like. We're going to talk more about that later. You can see it's pretty rough, pretty not ideal. It's a miracle this generation survived long enough to keep reproducing. Yeah, for real. This is a good meme. I'm not going to use it for the class photo because I remember that photo from my college U.S. history class. I'm not going to use this for the class photo because the text is too small. Wasn't it in the American Girl Samantha books that a kid in a factory got scalped when her hair got caught in the machinery? I don't recall that, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. I wasn't an American Girl doll kid. I wanted to be one. I would see the commercials and watch the movies, but my mom would never take me. She was like, that's a waste of money. I was obsessed with the Samantha movie. Triangle Shirt is the company name. Shirtwaist is the thing they made. Okay, because I remember I was like, I've seen Triangle Shirt. That was a thing. Triangle Shirt was a thing. Thank you. Okay. Moving on. There was also a lack of sanitation and lots of pollution. So now that was like workers' problems. Now we're just kind of getting into like general problems. Most cities did not have sewer systems, so there would be like literal like just sewer, like human sewage just in the streets, like raw sewage. It was contaminate drinking water, and a lot of people died from the contaminated water. And they didn't have ventilation in the tenement homes. Tenement homes were like a fuck ton of people in one little thing of housing, and it's like really not okay. So diseases spread very quickly as well. Also, medical care was not great. So there was really, really bad overcrowding. So remember how we looked at how the city grew like so fast, like from 1 million to like 4 million within like less than 30 years? Workers like started overcrowding into the city. So they turned like single family homes into apartment buildings. So like a 5-bedroom house would get turned into a 5-unit apartment building, and they would like half-ass it too. So that means multiple families would share one bathroom. I'm going to have this picture bigger on the screen in a second. Oh wait, it's a different one. Let me show you here. So you can see this is a 4-unit. It's giving landlords 2022. Exactly. The American experiment didn't follow the scientific method. So what are they going to do now? In high school, I wrote Downtown Funk to Downtown Slum for a history project. Typhoid Mary says hello. So I want to show you the layout of this. This is one floor. It's 4 apartments. So you can see kitchen, living room, bedroom, living room, kitchen, bedroom. These are 2 bedrooms. Bedroom, bedroom, kitchen, living room, 4 units. That's 2 bathrooms. That is, imagine sharing a bathroom with your neighbors. I heard some people in New York still do this. I heard some people in New York have shared bathrooms. Can anyone confirm or deny this? Huge shout out to the Tenement Museum on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. They tell the, oh my God, I need to go. How have I not known about this? Oh, I'm fucking mad now. I've been to Manhattan 12 different times, I think, if I'm recalling correctly. How did I not know about this? Class trip to Manhattan. Streaming live from the Tenement Museum. I wonder if they would let me. They'd be fumbling the bag not to. You won't get someone who's more into this topic. This is like, if you can't tell, this is my favorite topic, one of my favorite topics to teach. Like, this is right up there with Great Depression. It's not quite Great Depression, but it's up there. You know what I mean? Not to change topic too much, but were most of these factory workers white since it was the North, and most African Americans weren't in the North yet, or does history not tell us about them in factories? They were predominantly white. So factory workers were predominantly white at this time, but it varied factory to factory. And African Americans were a lot of times hired in service jobs, but some African American men were working in factories. Not really women would get hired very often. They were mainly in service jobs, but some African American men were hired. But most of like the journalism we have at the time was focused on white workers because of racism, and because like the progressive movement and the labor movement wasn't super inclusive of black workers in a lot of circumstances, because they were like, oh, we'll have a better chance if we can at least be aligned on like white supremacy. You know what I mean? So super not okay. But black workers were in the North, not in huge numbers yet, but they were there. I live in NYC. Indeed, that's true. People pay $2,000 for their studio and share a bathroom with the entire floor and see no issue with that. Oh, immediately no. Immediately no. Immediately no. God. They do virtual streaming talks. They're doing one on birth control next week. I'm so fucking bummed. Oh my God. That's so progressive of them. That, like, not progressive, like, politically, but I meant, like, modern of them, that they do the streaming and all of that stuff. I want to go there. My boyfriend's going to be so confused, but I'm going to text him and be like, babe, I really want to go to New York because I need to go to this thing. And he's going to be like, the Tenement Museum? It's going to be so much fun. I would actually jump off a building if I had to shower with an entire floor. I can't be the only one who doesn't see the appeal of living in NYC. So many people are living terribly. I could never live in New York because I hate the cold. If it wasn't for the cold, I could live there, but only if I had money. I could not live in New York as a poor person. Couldn't do it. I could not do it. I could not share a bathroom with strangers. I could potentially share with a roommate. I don't want to, but I could do it. But strangers? Oh, no. I live in Seattle, so I can understand the NYC thing. I will not live anywhere else, though. New York is way too expensive for the square feet. In an alternate universe, I'm living in a rent-controlled NYC apartment. What were you saying about white supremacy? Oh, so basically, like, the labor movement and, like, workers' rights in the early 1900s, they didn't really advocate for people of color because they, like, didn't want to challenge white supremacy and they thought it would, like, kill their movement, essentially. Some groups did, but a lot of the big ones didn't. Okay, so now let's look at some houses and stuff. So you can see people would live in like shacks that were attached to buildings. Overcrowded. People can't keep up with the building. So many people moving there. We already looked at this picture, but you can see like each one of these balconies is a whole different apartment. Oh, wait, I skipped one. Picture number 3, you can see all these guys living in one room. I think you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes sharing a 1-room apartment. Really not a vibe. You know it smelled terrible in there. Here's some more floor plans so you can see like how little space people had. Here's another one. You can see all the little balconies. Intersectionality, who? Yeah, for real, no intersectionality. Sorry, we're talking about community bathrooms. Here's a picture inside someone's home, tenement housing. This is cool, this little caption here. It says, overcrowding, 7 bed in a room found by tenement house department and ordered to be removed. So this is like after some of the regulations started coming into place, but this would be very, 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 very common. Here's another one. You can see just how many people they have living in such a small area. Very dangerous, very much not good. Here's another really rough one. So this is like people's living conditions who are working at these factories in the city. So another thing that came up that historically this is always not good what happens, vast differences in wealth. So basically rich people lived right next door to poor people. They were like around the corner because like the cities were growing in population, but not in square footage. So the rich people were not far away from the poor people at all. And the rich people would display their wealth with massive parties and clothes and jewelry. And they were just like living bougie. And they built walls and hired guards to protect themselves from the poor people. So imagine you're like walking past your boss's mansion every day and there's fucking guards there and you live in one of those places. Like, come on, big dog. No. They're literally always in cramped spaces from work to home. Are you sure you're not talking about 2022? I told you guys, it's literally, history is rhyming right now. History is rhyming right now. So this increased the tension and made it even more difficult to endure the unsafe and unsanitary conditions because you're seeing people that are living good all the time. It makes you jealous. Oh, someone's talking about the sorority brothel. So here's an example. This is Andrew Carnegie's home. I don't remember what city this is, but these are the same city. So this is Andrew Carnegie's home compared to the tenement housing. So there's the gate where they would have guards. I think these are the guards right here. At least some of them. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This looks like a college. Like, why is that your house? Like, this literally looks like a university, sir. So Pittsburgh? I think so. I don't know. My town's library is in Carnegie Library. Robber barons are what these people were called. Like the captains of industry, like Rockefeller and Carnegie, and these people that were like so fucking powerful are called robber barons. So robber barons, after building fortunes by taking over the economy and repressing the American working class, resulting in tons of unnecessary death and suffering. A ton of colleges in Pitt have buildings donated by him. So I don't talk about this in here, but Andrew Carnegie, later in his life, got super into charitable giving, and he said that it was like the duty of he was into charitable giving for kind of racist vibes. Like, he was like, social Darwinism, us rich people are so much better. That's why we have all the money. So we should take care of those people. We have to, like, give the money to pay for things to take care of them because we know better, was his vibe later. And he gave away a lot of money, mostly for education and things like that. Carnegie, like Carnegie Hall, Carnegie University. Yeah. Kind of gross, but better than the rich people now. Exactly. It's like, okay, I'm loving the result and I'm hating the intention, but at least we're getting there. Like, I'm not going to try and change your mind because just keep giving me your money. You know what I mean? Like, we'll just wait for you to die. Just, like, give me your money and be quiet. Go lay down. I think you're confused, Grandpa. I'm sorry, I was really proud of this. I think I might use this as the meme. Loving the result, hating the intention. My town wouldn't have a library without him, so kind of slay, but not really. This might be the class pick. That's what I might be thinking. I think it's a good one. If you guys don't know, this is Jeff Bezos. This is Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy, and this is Rockefeller, the oil guy. We stand Mackenzie, I guess. God. I don't know her. I really don't know her. Love this meme. I think this is a good meme, too. We might come back here for the class photo. Where's Rockefeller's mouth? I took the class photo. I liked the chat. Let me see if I caught it at the moment I wanted to. Seen the mansions they have there? The summer homes? Oh, God. Wait, are the Rockettes because Rockefeller? Like Rockefeller Center? The Rockettes? Indirectly, yes. I also greatly appreciate you pronouncing Carnegie correctly. How do other people say it? Evil white men do be ruining every time. The Mackinac Island summer homes are insane. We're Googling. We are Googling. I stopped doing the critiquing fancy houses because I was like girl bossing too close to the sun. I was afraid it was somehow going to lead to me getting in trouble at work, by the way. Because I kept coming across houses that were like affiliated with my company. And I was like, the Bezos. Oh my God. Okay, but anyway, this is a good meme. We might come back here. So, not only do we have all those terrible things going on, we also have a ton of political corruption on top of the unsafe working conditions, the unsafe living conditions, and everything being terrible. We have political corruption. So a political machine is an organization that is usually controlled by a boss, and the boss would get citizens to vote for its candidates on election day. Elon Musketeers. So basically, this is the way that a political machine works. The boss gives jobs and services to immigrants and poor people. They would go into the tenement housing. They'd be like, oh, we'll give you a job. We'll do trash removal. We'll send a doctor here. Like, they would provide really needed services in the community because these people were really easy to exploit because they were down so bad. Like, they had nothing. So it was like, obviously, they're going to say yes to that. So then, a couple weeks goes around. Was mafia in existence during this time? Not in the way that we think of the mafia today now. Tammany Hall. You guys are literally slaying. Like, I can tell you took a push. But anyway, the boss tells immigrants and poor residents who to vote for. So the same guy that brought in all the trash removal and the doctors and gave you a job, now it's election day, and he is at the polling place standing over you, telling you who to vote for. So that candidate gets elected, and the candidate gives city contracts to companies that are involved with the political machine, and so the political machine gets even more money and has even more influence. So, basically, I want to show you this first. I made this little graphic for my students. So the boss provides jobs and services to immigrants and poor residents. Then the boss tells immigrants and poor residents to vote in favor of the political machine. And at this time, they didn't really like check for voting and shit. So a lot of immigrants did vote in local elections. I know now, like, voting and immigration's a whole thing. They didn't really give a shit as much back then about the whole citizen thing. Sometimes they did. It really varied place to place. They didn't have systems. You get what I'm saying. But anyway, so boss tells immigrants and poor residents to vote in favor of the political machine. Then the person that the political machine picked gets elected and gives city contracts to companies that are a part of it. And then the political machine becomes more powerful. Not trying to flex, but I did get a 5 on the APUSH exam. Debbie Ryan Hair Tuck. I also got a 5 on the APUSH exam. You You want to be able to eat and not live on the literal street? Here's the job with the most exploitation we have. My school actually didn't have A-Push, but I had history through media where we watched history movies and watched Gang of New York's. Literally a perfect score, right? I got it too, but I blamed my grandma for dying while I was while you were taking it. Jesus. Exploitative potential. Whatever. So, a city contract. How are they making the money? That would always be like the most confusing part to people. So, the city government pays for shit. They pay for buildings, trash removal, roads, like they pay for a variety of shit. So, the government will write a contract and hire a company to do that. The government doesn't employ the construction workers most of the time. They hire a company of construction workers. So, the political machine would have the elected official pick companies that are like their friends, basically. So they'd also like really overcharge. So it'd be like, oh, this fence that should be $20, we're hiring my friend Bill and it's going to be $200. So that was kind of the vibe. They wasted a lot of taxpayer money this way. And then that money went back into the political machine to then go into new neighborhoods and do the exact same thing and get even bigger. So like, I know we think corruption is really bad today, and corruption is really bad today, but it's been really bad at other points in time as well. There's that same graphic. So Tammany Hall is a famous political machine in New York. They chose the mayors and other officials from the 1950s to the 1930s. I really think we need to think about this more. I would always be like raging when I showed this slide to my students because that is so long. The 1850s to the 1930s, and New York is one of the most influential cities in the entire country. This tiny group of people was making legislation for one of what is now one of the most influential cities in the world. They did that for 80 years. And 80 years when it was at its like most rapid growth. So think about everything. Every legislation, the way everything is set up was really like goes back to these people. Which is crazy. People still say this now, but with military contracts, the $500 toilet seat cover, etc. Yes, exactly. This is basically my A-Push class because I didn't finish the second semester in school. Yeah, almost a century. So they influenced elections in an extreme way. They assigned a ward. Was William Jennings Bryan a part of this? No, but he did run for president during this time. It's giving Illuminati. That's terrifying, literally. So they assigned a ward boss to each local district of the city, and the ward boss would be in charge of gathering those votes. So, no one. The ward boss at the polling center on election day. This is really how they would. Back then, you didn't get privacy. Like now when you vote, they don't let someone come with you in there. Like they give you your space so you can vote for whoever you want to vote for, and your vote is a secret. It's not public. Back then, it was out in the open. So the boss would stand there and be like, hey, who are you voting for? Hey, girlie, you better vote for me or you will be in the Hudson River. XOXO. Literally. I feel like this is also probably what they looked like and how they were dressed. This reminds me of the creepy Trump antics that tried to watch the polls. What the fuck? Poll watchers. They also did this in the South. Like when African Americans tried to use their right to vote, they would have poll watchers there and stuff like that. Everything comes back to political corruption. I hate it. If someone watched me cast my ballot in Texas, I'd flip my shit. It's brutal out here, you guys. It's scary. So Boss Tweed. Oh, my picture of him got cut off. Boss Tweed was a politician from Tammany Hall. He was in New York in the late 1800s. He was convicted of stealing $25 million from the New York City taxpayers through political corruption. So that's why he's drawn like this, because his head is money, because that's all he cares about, but the bottom got cut off. So what ended up happening to him? He dead. Obviously, he's dead now, but basically, there was a riot in 1871. I don't know the rest of that story. I'm sure it's interesting, but we just don't have time to get into it. There was a riot in 1871. If anyone wants to give us like a TLDR, I'd appreciate that. But anyway, after that riot, because people were upset that everything is terrible, I'm assuming that's what the riot started over, New York's elite turned against him because they were like, we put you in power because you were supposed to keep this shit calm. Get your shit together. So he escaped to Spain, which, like, you could have just been chilling in Spain, but he was like, nah, I'm gonna come back to the U.S., and then he died in jail. So, that's what happened to Boss Tweed. So describe the vibes. Oh, my eyelash. Describe the. Why would you escape and come back? People get cocky. Describe the vibes of living in the Gilded Age. So everything we've talked about, the political corruption, the living conditions. Let me put the Nearpod in the chat. Wait, so what did Boss Tweed do? He was a politician. So he was a politician that the political machine picked. So he had a few different offices and different jobs, but he stole $25 million of taxpayer money. Basically just 2022, a little different. Poor is very poor. Rich is very rich and getting richer. Yeah, very much so. This. Really good for the rich or really bad for the poor. If you're rich, right. If you're poor, boo. Very similar to today. In my humble opinion. Wait, not that link. I figured you needed a second. I'll give you guys a moment. Man, I was like making fun of my mom as a joke and she took it seriously and it's like a thing now. I was making fun of her because I sent her this TikTok that showed like how to organize your cords in your kitchen, like the cord to like your toaster and your blender and shit like that, because she hates cords. She gets so mad, and it was a little thing you can put on the back to wrap the cords around, and she was like, oh my god, how did I not know this? And I said, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing that you didn't know, and she thought I was serious. My mom thinks everything is a personal attack. That's just a mom thing, I think. I think moms are just traumatized because like being a mother seems really traumatizing, especially being a working mother seems really traumatizing. So I think they're literally just projecting and traumatized, and it's fine. Um Damn it, the chat broke again. God damn it. I really need to get a better streaming thing. Last night, or Monday night, it was like going better, so I kind of thought we were going to be on a better vibe, but I guess the fuck not. Let me continue to look at the Nearpod. Actually, I think I fucked that up. I absolutely fucked that up. There we go. Okay, awesome. Yay. Not very slay. Don't know how my family could have done it because I would have been partitioned to Poland to take my chances with the Prussians. Bad vibes only. Rancid vibes. Not good. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Not very gilded if you ask me. You're poor, just be rich. It's so much nicer. Doesn't matter. Dollar is king. Kids, people of color, women, lame. Rich white men rule the world. The U.S. government was a narcissistic manipulator. You're the child of immigrant? Fuck you. You're a child? Fuck you. You're a ruthless white man. Gold star. A view into 2022. God. Really rude of them, really. Yeah, very rude. Very bad times. So, moving on, let's get started with the progressive era. So the progressive era is everyone being like, you're not a WASP, get the fuck out. What does WASP stand for again? Someone do me a favor and answer that question. Let's go leftist. So the progressive era is people being like, wow, our government should do something about this. White, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. Ah, thank you. So it was a period of widespread activism and political reform from the 1890s to 1920s. The main objective was addressing the problems caused by urbanization, urbanization, industrialization, immigration, and political corruption. So lots of new social movements started during this time. The temperance movement. If you were here for my stream about prohibition, this is when the temperance movement started. The labor movement, that's like the workers' movement. The social gospel movement, that's when people were like, Jesus wants us to help and Jesus wants everyone to be happy. And a lot of people became progressive because of religion and because religious leaders were like, we're supposed to feed the poor, take care of your neighbors, everyone deserves a good place to live and work and all that. And the suffragette movement, so white women fighting for the right to vote for themselves alone during this time as well. So, the first step of a movement is education. How did people learn about the issues? And it was cartoons. So, here is some Boss Tweed cartoons. So, this is showing Boss Tweed has his thumb over New York. The city is underneath him. This is Boss Tweed with the money bags. This is about the South. You can see the KKK is teaming up with the, slave catcher police and terrorizing this African American family. So, people used political cartoons because they could not read. Child labor. People didn't go to school. We didn't have public schools. A lot of people didn't know how to read and write very well. They could read a little bit, but they couldn't read a whole news article and comprehend it. What I remember most is Hilary Swank in the bath, and you know what? It's possible I should have known it was queer at that point. Oh my god. That's funny. So anyway, Thomas Nast was a famous political cartoonist. He used satire. Satire is using humor or exaggeration to ridicule someone. He attacked Boss Tweed and Tammany Hall, and this was important because a lot of people couldn't read. So he enabled, I feel like TikTok audios are modern political cartoons. Why is his thumb so long? He had to draw it, okay? Are these modern memes in a way? The force feeding scene is literally burned in my brain. Oh, I can't talk about that right now. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't talk about this. But anyway, here's some of his political cartoons. So here's some more examples, not just of his, but of not everyone's, but just a couple examples. So you can see, I love this cartoon. I love teaching this cartoon. This is the entrance for monopolist. A monopolist is someone who controls an entire industry. Look, the Nail Trust, the Copper Trust, Standard Oil Trust, that's Rockefeller, Steel Beam Trust, Sugar Trust. All these big companies are super powerful, and they're way more powerful than the congressmen. But look, the people's entrance is closed and locked. This is about Pullman is a owner of a company. His workers went on strike. We're going to talk about this because of low wages and high rent. This is showing like the robber barons, like the millions people. You can see Gold's Millions, Fields Millions. Linen workers average $11 a week. Cloth workers $9 a week. You can see that all these workers are holding up the industrialist. I find the way the Industrial Revolution impacted the education system so interesting. I know, I wanted to get into this, but we just didn't have time. Like how it was designed to create workers. The fact that some of these are relevant today is so not cute. That's why I picked this topic, because we need to know this. Here's the long thumb. Again, I thought there was something here I wanted to show. No, there's not. Illiterate working class Americans after seeing Thomas Nast cartoons explaining corruption. I felt like this was a little mean, but it was really funny, so I just had to put it in there. You know? Also, while I'm waiting for you all to catch up with me, let's talk about the modern school system. So the reason they have bells in school is because at a factory, a bell is what goes on when the machine goes on and off, the assembly line. And Rockefeller helped create the school system because basically what happened is they got all of these farmers in the factories, and the farmers were like, I'm a man, I'm not going to listen to another man, fuck you, bitch. And they would like show up to work really drunk, and they would be late all the time. And so they were like, damn, we have to train these kids to be good little fucking workers. So the government was like, Daddy Rockefeller, help us make schools. And that's how they decided on the bells and to do tests and make everything standardized and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's the school system. I need someone to acknowledge this meme. Thanks. I have another meme too. This one's good. This is someone mentioned something about memes, how memes are the new political cartoons. They really are. They really are. I was so proud of thinking of this. I think this is hilarious. I'm not going to make it the class photo, but I think it's very funny. Ding dong, time to shuck more oysters. You're like, I'm 5. Can I play outside? Please. I just want to play outside. Please, let me play. I just want to play outside. I'm not going to drink this Dr. Pepper, I think. I think it's too much sugar. I already drank a full Dr. Pepper today, and I think it's going to give me a headache. It's black lung time, Timmy. Yes, recess, you get to play in chemical sludge. Such a pretty eye. They couldn't use the bathroom when they were kids? Nope. Yeah, immediately no. Immediately no. How many 4-year-olds had missing fingers? A lot. Whatever number you're thinking of, triple it. Quadruple it. A lot of 4-year-olds had missing fingers. And missing hands as well. Because, like, they didn't really have, forgot to say I love the meme. Thank you. Which one? The future one or the Kylie Jenner one? They didn't have good medical care that back then, so, like, if you cut your finger and it was getting infected, they would just amputate your hand. Just get a little DIY. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was really not a vibe. So let's get into the labor movement. The labor movement goes hand in hand with the progressive movement. It was a time period of mass unionization. A union is when workers come together to fight for better conditions. This is an example of a union right here. So unions have three main goals, and this is on the game as well. 1, to obtain higher wages and better working conditions. 2, mutual aid societies. Mutual aid is when everyone helps each other. Mutual meaning like me and you, aid meaning help. So they would have funds to continue to pay workers, because remember, the company isn't doing it, so mutual aid, they would work together. So if you got hurt at work, the mutual aid for your union would help you pay for a doctor, time off, stuff like that. And then third, one of the biggest ones, to place pressure on the government. These people would vote as a group for politicians that promised to pass laws that would benefit workers. Those are their goals. So these are their tactics or strategies. 1 is collective bargaining. Collective bargaining just means asking for something as a group. Like, if I go to my boss and I'm like, hey, I want a raise, she's going to be like, okay, fuck off. But if every single one of my coworkers in Florida, we all go together and ask for a raise, they're going to have to take that serious. I wish servers and waitstaff would unionize. So our government makes it hard to unionize in some states. It really depends on where you live, on how union friendly your state is. So 1 is collective bargaining. 2 is organized strikes, refusing to work. A strike is organized. If you just get pissed off at work and throw your stuff down and you say, I'm going home, that's not a strike. That's you quitting. Different thing. Still a great move, and I support you. And most importantly, in organizing a strike, you need to create a strike fund. So you basically save money in advance to take care of everything so that you can continue to strike for as long as you need. NLRB is a great place to start if you want to organize at your job. Ooh, thank you, Gemma girl. And then picket lines. A picket line is carrying signs outside of a business, so protesting, kind of like what we see in this picture. 1, because then people walking past are like, what the fuck is going on there? And then 2, it prevents strike breakers. Strike breakers are often called scabs. Like, you know, when you cut yourself, a scab is like temporary. Scabs are people that come work during a strike. The teachers in my district went on strike when I was in first grade. It was such a wild time. Yeah. A union might strike at the beginning of the school year because the district doesn't want to raise wages to match the cost of living. All of these points were like why the Mother's Day strike was nothing burger. There was no clear support or participants. Exactly. Most of the time, if you see on TikTok where it's like, we're going to have a strike, if it does not have a union or like a organization attached to it, it's like very, what are you doing? You don't have a plan. Me going up to every server to tell them they have the right to unionize. Good for them. Okay. So, a strike versus a boycott. A strike is when the workers refuse to work. A boycott is when the buyers refuse to buy. Usually when workers are striking, they will ask people to boycott, but they are two different things. Tactics of management. So what does management do if those are the tactics of the workers? 1, they would fire striking workers. 2, a lockout. They would close the factory. They'd be like, fuck it, we're closed. This is, Starbucks has been accused of this a lot. Like certain stores that tried to unionize just magically get closed. Interesting. That's a lockout. The stock photos are really killing me. I love stock photos. One of my dreams is to be a stock photo or a textbook photo photographer. I don't know, logically, how would it work out? I feel like it's needed. Restaurants. Oh yeah, the restaurant industry. Oh, I can't even get into that right now. So hiring strike breakers or scabs. Also this, forcing workers to sign yellow dog contracts saying they would not join a union. Blacklisting union leaders and members. So if I'm at my job and I'm trying to organize, my boss can fire me and call up everyone else and say, hey, don't hire Miss Redacted because she's trying to make a fucking union. And then now I can't get a job. I've been blacklisted. This one's scary. Hiring Pinkertons. These are basically private investigators, more like hitmen, because they would literally murder people. So they would hire these shady private investigators to intimidate people, into like getting rid of their union or not organizing, and then even murdering key leaders of unions and things like that. And then last but not least, using an injunction or a court order that used the police to break up a strike is another tactic. So we're going to talk about a couple examples. One is the Haymarket riot. There was a rally at Haymarket Square because, so what are scabs? Scabs are the workers that work during a strike. So if there's a teacher strike, then a substitute teacher would be a scab. It's like the person that's filling in. And it's called crossing the picket line, meaning like I'm walking past the people that are striking and going into the building to work. Is crossing the picket line. Seeing that people are so scared of unions to literally go murder just shows how powerful unions are. Exactly. So, Haymarket Square, basically they were protesting the police killed someone in a strike. Around 8:30 p.m., there were 2,000 people there, workers and activists. Police just arrived to disperse the crowd, and then someone threw a bomb. We don't know who threw the bomb. I think it was the police, personally. And chaos ensued. You can see the police here, like, shooting at people. Yeah. Despite a lack of evidence against them, 8 radical labor activists were convicted, and it is viewed as a setback. Because when this happened, Superstore is really good about talking about this. When this event happened, a lot of people were like, oh my God, the labor movement is crazy. They have riots and bombs and all that shit. So it really kind of was like bad PR. Superstore is a show. It's on Hulu. It's good. It's like The Office, but Walmart, essentially. And then we have the Pullman strike. So George Pullman, that's this motherfucker right here, he was the guy who invented the sleeping railway car, fun fact. That was an invention my students needed to know. I forgot to delete that. He owned a company town. A company town is where all the workers live in the town. So the same person owns the grocery store, the housing, the transportation. They own everything, and they're your boss. So, very bad. So his workers went on strike because he lowered wages but did not lower prices in his company town. It is very bold to lower wages. Like, not giving a raise, you can at least pretend like you didn't notice. You know? The public's reaction to brutality against strikers mirrors people's reaction to MLM protesters after they get abused by the police. Unions, like PR, is so weird to me. It's giving villainizing BLM protests, yeah, for real. So Eugene Debs, who was the leader of the American Railway Union, joined in sympathy and refused to work on Pullman cars. So this brought trains to a standstill, and President Cleveland sent in federal troops to end the strike. So you can see Pullman is squeezing the worker with high rent and low wages. And we have the Homestead strike. So Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie, same guy, Carnegie and Frick were the owners of Homestead Steelworks, and they decided to break a union, so they locked out the workers because they were having trouble negotiating a new contract. They did not want to agree to what the union wanted. So workers went on strike. This is an abridged version. This lasted a few days and turned into like a literal battle. Workers went on strike, so they surrounded the steel mill with the picket lines, and when the Pinkertons came in, they won. The workers killed them. Like, the bosses tried to send in, like, a private military, and the workers were like, fuck you, bitch, and killed them all. And then the state military was called out to protect the factory. So the workers did give up when the military got there. Didn't they have a lot of migrant people of color workers on the railway? Yes. Some of them were in unions. Most of them were not. A lot of unions were white only at this time. So the workers ended up giving up with the Homestead strike. Very valid. The military was there, and this ended unionization in steel mills. Yeah, like, they literally called the military. This is fucking crazy. Rich people facing the consequences of their actions when workers organize and go on strike. I was proud of this meme, too. Maple Sarah P., thanks for following me. Sorry I didn't see it for a little while. I just turn my TV off so I don't forget. Thank you. It is a great meme. I try. So Eugene Debs, the guy that helped out in this strike, I love this cartoon of him because basically it's like they're showing like, oh, you little pampered princess, and he's not letting the railway through, but in reality, What if one of Kim's companies organizes OOP? In reality, like, this guy's kind of a badass for doing this. So Eugene Debs helped form the American Railway Union. He called on its members, like I said, to not work on cars during the Pullman strike, and the government used an injunction to end this. This is the part that I wanted to tell you. He was sent to prison for 6 months, and he was the Socialist Party of America candidate for president 4 times, and the final time was from prison. It really takes, like, some BDE to run for president from prison, to be like, fuck you, bitch. I don't care that I'm in prison for this strike. I'm still running for president because that's my God-given American right. So that's Eugene Debs. Hey, can you please protect workers instead of taking the company's side in every conflict to the U.S. government? So you can see, like, pretty much every time they would either use the police, the state military, an injunction, or the federal military to end the strike, get back to business. They almost always took the side of the employer. I think one of the best union functions is preventing people from working 24/7 and putting into place rules that no one can work more than X number of hours, days a week. Yeah, I agree. Big Deb's energy. Oh my God. So Samuel Gompers is another leader. He was the longest serving president of the American Federation of Labor, which we're going to learn about in a second. Under his leadership, the AFL became the largest and most influential labor federation in the world. I think it still does exist. It grew from only 50,000 people to nearly 3 million people and is now a permanent place in American society. So Samuel Gompers helped create that. So we're going to talk about 2 unions, the Knights of Labor and the American Federation of Labor. So the Knights of Labor was founded by Terence Powderly, and it allowed skilled workers and unskilled workers, and they did allow people of color and women, and they supported equal pay for women. They were in favor of immigration restrictions because they felt like immigrants were working for less money, and it was, like, bad for the American workers. Like, the exploitation of immigrants was also hurting American workers, basically. Eventually, this union fell apart, but pretty progressive of them that they were very inclusive for the time. The American Federation of Labor was white, male, skilled workers for the most part. They were more organized and more clear. They still exist today. Now they're open to, like, they don't have race restrictions, obviously, and gender restrictions, but the AFL is still a big union today. They were more successful during this time than the Knights of Labor were. They had really clear goals: 8-hour workday, better conditions, and closed shop, meaning that everyone that works there is in the union. And they became a leader of the labor movement. They had almost 500,000 members. Funny, the military had a ship named the Samuel Gompers. My dad was on it. It was the first ship that took on a female crew. Huh. Interesting. So let's talk about muckrakers. So not only do we have, like, the unions and the labor and people trying to get more rights, we also have journalists that are exposing kind of like the evils of society and everything that's going on shadily in American businesses. So one of my favorites is Jacob Riis. He wrote a book. It's actually a photo book called How the Other Half Lives. And it was basically a ton of those pictures that we looked at. So of the tenement housing, like how down bad people were living. And this, like, inspired a lot of people and led to a lot of change happening. This also showed a lot of rich people, like, how bad things were. Like, apparently he would show it at parties and shit. And people were like, oh my God, that's terrible. Because, you know, photos worth 1,000 words. It was also, like, photos, they weren't new, but the technology had improved a lot, so it was kind of, like, cool. You know what I mean? We also have Ida Tarbell. She took down Rockefeller. Well, she didn't take him down by any means. She tried to take down Rockefeller. Of Standard Oil. She was a journalist and is best known for Standard Oil, was basically a history of the Standard Oil Company, where she talked about basically he would do really shady things to take over small businesses, and then he created a monopoly. So he was working with the railroad industry, and they were charging him lower rates. So then he would, like, open a business right near someone else and then, like, charge super low oil prices, and then that person would go out of business. So then he would take over their business and then raise the prices. Was a very common tactic of his. I have to go, but the stream has been so good. Gouda Lover, thank you for being here. I'll post it on YouTube later as well. So, its use of unfair practices, particularly with the railroad industry, and this also helped push the movement along to expose all of these things. Oh my God, also, I forgot to tell you. So, the reason that she hated him so much is because her dad's small oil business was taken down by him. Her family went through a lot of financial hardship because of Rockefeller. So, I had a tarball after exposing Rockefeller. And then everyone's been mentioning it, The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. This is a book about how disgusting the meat industry was. It was a novel, so it was not a true story, but all of the working conditions were true, and people did know that. Some of the most famous child labor photos were taken in my town in Roanoke. The cotton mill where they were taken is now luxury studio apartments. That's poetic. So yeah, Upton Sinclair wrote this important book. I like this slide about it better. This is what I showed my students, and I took this from a child's presentation. So you can see, like, basically it was disgusting. People didn't wash their hands. There was no sanitation. They would mix in expired food into the grinder to make new food. They would drop stuff on the floor, pick it back up. There were rats. Rats were thrown in with the meat. It was literally disgusting. Reading The Jungle and Fast Food Nation made me want to go vegetarian. Upton Sinclair said, I aimed at the public's heart, and by accident, I hit it in the stomach. So this is why our government passed food safety laws, because everyone read this and they were like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? So Congress did pass some laws, but it wasn't really doing enough. It was very laissez-faire government. Laissez-faire means hands off. They did pass the Interstate Commerce Act in 1886 to regulate the railroads, and the Sherman Antitrust Act in 1890s to regulate companies that were restricting trade, but neither of them were really being used. So they passed laws, but they weren't using them until Roosevelt. This is Theodore Roosevelt, not FDR. The other one, Teddy, the first one. Theodore Roosevelt was the first president to regulate big business and break up monopolies. He busted 25 different corporate monopolies. So you can see, here's him hunting. He has the good trust. And a trust is different than monopoly. A trust is like big money altogether, basically. That's all I'm going to explain about it, because I don't really understand it. But he's killing the bad trust, and then he has the good trust on a leash because he's controlling it. So he promised Americans a square deal, basically meaning like shit should be fair. And it included a promise to battle large combinations and trust, and that threatened to restrict trade. And he used the Sherman Antitrust, In 1902, his government brought a successful suit under the previously ineffective Sherman Antitrust Act against a railroad company that was also formed by J.P. Morgan, who was also a rich dude during this time, now is a bank, J.P. Morgan Chase. So that same year, he intervened in a prolonged coal strike in Pennsylvania, using a combination of negotiation tactics to halt the strike and gain a modest pay increase for miners. So he was the first time a president was really like pro-labor and pro-labor movement. Someone mentioned, national park guy, he used his executive power for his passion for conservation of the environment. The National Reclamation Act was the first major legislation of his presidency. It's like good and bad, because it did set aside 20 million acres for national forest reserves and wildlife refuges, which is great, but it did remove a lot of Native American land to be put as that forest system. So yeah. Not good that he stole land, but good that he saved trees. You know what I mean? Did J.P. Morgan die on the Titanic? Did he? I redact the National Parking statement. So, if voting was corrupt, why did they let Roosevelt become president? Like, why would they let a pro-labor person? So, one, he used to be controlled by party bosses. That was John Jacob Astor. Oh. J.P. Morgan got off the Titanic. He knew too much. Oh, right. I did see that. Anyway, Roosevelt used to be under control of the bosses, and he would just, like, do whatever they want when he was the governor. And then when he became the VP, he was, like, campaigning a lot, really trying to, like, be in his girl boss era. But then when President McKinley died, Roosevelt got sworn in as the 26th president. So what I think is kind of funny is that he was like under the pressure of the party bosses, and then once he became president, he expressed his progressive belief that the government should mediate conflict, including between capital and labor, and expansionism and conservation and development in order to stabilize American society. So he basically was like, hey, you guys, I'm really more progressive than I ever fucking told you. So progressive era be like, make Roosevelt VP so he'll have no power. He can't fight corruption. President dies so he gains all the power. That's literally what happened. I'm thinking of Ida and Isidore Strauss, my bad. Everyone redacting their, like, celebration of the Roosevelt's presidents. Can we have a Titanic lesson? Ooh, that's a good one. Political bosses when Teddy Roosevelt started switching things up once he got into the White House. I use this meme every stream, and I never get tired of it. I love this meme. I'll never get tired of it. Here's another one. Theodore Roosevelt becoming pro-labor once he took presidential office. I'm in my redacted era now. It's a good era to be in. It's a very good era to be in. So then President Woodrow Wilson also oversaw a great wave of progressive reforms, especially, was it Teddy Roosevelt that had a native VP? I don't know. Woodrow Wilson oversaw a lot of amendments. So the 16th Amendment created national income tax. The 17th Amendment is what allows us to vote for our senators. 18 outlaws alcohol, and 19 is women's suffrage. He also regulated big business by pushing for the Clayton Antitrust Act, which protects our workers' right to strike, and he created the Federal Trade Commission. So we started to see a lot of regulation on big business during this time, and things kind of started to change for the better. And I want to explain the 17th Amendment, direct election of senators. We used to not pick our senators. You know how you vote for your state legislators? The state legislators would pick the senators. Now we vote directly for our senators, is how that works. Did people, like, lose their heads that he changed up on them? I'm not 100% sure, actually. I'm sure some people were mad, but I think people also, it was like, political news wasn't as, like, as it is now. Like, now, like, it being on TV makes everything a big event. You know what I mean? So we also changed a lot of things on a local level to allow citizens to have a bigger impact on the government. So referendum allows citizens to vote to increase taxes for new programs. Initiatives allow citizens to put issues directly on the ballot, like sometimes when a place will vote on, like, medical marijuana or something like that. Instead of the government people choosing it, it's directly on the ballot. Recalls allow citizens to vote to remove an elected official. That's a local thing as well. My students would always be like, can we remove Donald Trump? And I'm like, this is more complicated than that. So states began using direct primaries as well. So it used to be that, like, the Democratic Party picks the candidate, and it's like no one's say but them. Now we have primaries where you get to vote. Last one is the biggest. Secret ballots require privacy while voting and prohibits anyone from monitoring who you vote for. So, other successes are the Meat Inspection Act. This is because of the jungle. This makes it illegal to adulter or misbrand products that are meant for food, and it also has to be sanitary. The Pure Food and Drug Act basically just says whatever it says it is, it has to be that. Like, you can't say one thing on the label and put something else in there. So, my God, we kind of went through that really fast. I'm really impressed with how fast we just got through 74 slides. And it's time for the game. Which one should we do? Let's do the jungle, because we've been talking about the jungle. Here's a Nearpod. If you want to join the game, go for it. It's 10 questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Brie Page. I just saw you said space. I was going to pick space. And then I saw the jungle and was like, the jungle. Next time I'll do space. If you want to play the game, join. If you don't want to play, you can just watch. Your names are on here, just so you know. I'll give you a couple seconds to join. I do not want to go to work tomorrow. Wow. DT. One of my meetings got canceled, though, so that's cool. Oh, I have a long one. It's okay, like a theme. I'll give you a couple more seconds to join the Nearpod if anyone wants to. I see 11 people on there. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Having kids seems fucking exhausting, truly. Oh my god, there's 14 people there now. I'll give you another few seconds to join and then I'll hit start. I hate when people I went to high school with get like, please relax. Like, literally, let's calm the fuck down. Would you consider a stream on the history of minimum wage or the school to prison pipeline? Love that. Would also love to do mass incarceration, but I also think I already kind of did that. Or more presidential scandals. The TikTok's about giving a Victorian child a talkie, but it's a Victorian child giving us a hot dog. I literally just joined the stream, so I'm raw dogging the game. Not Katie80. I love that energy. I'm a big fan of just winging it. Like, there's no reason I should be successful at this, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Okay, there's 18 of you in the game. I'm about to hit start. So if you want the Obama tan suit scandal. Oh my god. So, fun fact. When I was a teacher, my kids went to state for football. So they had like a little send-off and they all wore like... The football players wore suits. Like, they all got their little suits for a little, like, thing where they went on the bus and whatever, like, very much in their moment. And one of the kids got a tan suit, and I was like, oh my god, I love the tan suit. And he was like, thanks, I'm in my Obama era. And I was like, it was good. I like it. Did they win state? They did. It was so fun, and I got to be on the sideline. It was super fun. It was, honestly, that was very fun. Even though it was freezing rain... And I wanted to cry. I was so cold. It was so fun, though. Like, it was far away, too. We had to drive there. So, like, I didn't drive with children. I drove with some other teacher friends. But, like, driving up there was fun. Being with the kids was fun. I got a hotel room with my friends, which was fun. It was amazing. That was my first year teaching. And, like, and I had... 8 kids on the football team. I was very close with them. I was on the sideline of pretty much every game taking pictures, so I was very, very close with the football team my first year teaching, and it was just really fun to watch them win state. That was like one of my favorite things I've ever done. Imagine you driving a school bus full of football players. Oh my god. I could never. Okay, I'm going to hit start on the game. Also, I'm impressed with those of you that play the game, because I know there's a lag between me, like, my live, and then, like, the Nearpod doesn't have a lag. So, like, the Nearpod is ahead of me talking, you know? Truly great memories. I wish I could show you guys my scrapbook, but obviously I can't do that. Do. Sometimes my agents will post these places that are for rent, and I'm like, that looks perfect. I love it. And it's like $20,000. And I'm like, oh, I guess since I got to class late, that's okay. There's 2 right answers. It's Southern and Eastern Europe. It's a noise. I love that you're guessing even though because you got to class late. The chat is always so quiet because you're all so focused. Do you think any of your old students stream your Twitch? I have no idea. One of them saw my YouTube. When I did the Vietnam one, they commented and they were like, yo, miss, what's up? And I was like, hey. They know, and I know they follow me on TikTok, but I don't know if any of them are regular users. If you're my student, like my former real, like, school student, DM me on like Instagram or text me if you have my number, or like honestly you can send me an email here, like I don't really care, just contact me in some way. I want to know who you are and if you watch this, because that's like hilarious and I would love that. I'm sad I missed the stream. When will it be on YouTube? So usually what I do is I start the upload and then sometimes it goes through and sometimes it doesn't, and I just check in the morning because it takes like hours, so I start it and then I like go to sleep or whatever. So either tonight or tomorrow morning. I try to never do more than like a 24-hour wait, because that's annoying. Man, y'all are fast. What was not a main goal of unions? Private investigators. Who were those private investigators? What were they called? The ones that would murder the labor activists. You know what I really don't understand? Like, people who post pictures with like an emoji over their baby's face. I get why you're putting the emoji over the baby's face, but if the picture is of just the baby, why are you posting it if you don't want to post the baby? You get what I'm saying? That's what I don't understand. Like, I get when it's like a picture of something and they blur out the baby because they're like, I don't want you to see my fucking baby. Rock on with that. I'm going to do that if I ever reproduce. But when people just post like a photo of the baby, it's like from here up, and there's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? I don't get it. Question 9. This is a hard one. Let's pretend I didn't get it wrong. It's just when the baby, that is very... When it's just the baby, it's very strange. That's what I'm saying. Like, one of my friends, she doesn't post her kid, and when she posts a picture, like, she'll post a picture of, like, their family out to eat and covers the baby's face, but, like, everyone else, the adults, are in it. That I understand. But when it's just the baby, like, just don't post it. Girl, we're on the same wavelength. I've always wondered why they post the pic in the first place if it's literally just your baby. Thank you! I felt like a bitch, because I was like, either post your baby or don't post your baby. Like, I don't want to see an emoji over your baby and nothing else. I respect privacy for one's children. Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, people that are like, I'm not posting my kid, rock on. I wouldn't post my kids if I had them. But, like, if you don't want to post your kids, then just don't post them. There's no need to post, like, redacted your children's facing out of their photos and then posting that. It's just unnecessary to me. They just want the likes. Fair point. All right, first place is Alex, and then Laurel, Bree, Dusty Croissant, ZK Butterworth, Michaela, Betty Crocker, Sid, Gas Station Roller, Stinky Faye, Grocery Store, Alyssa, Iodine Science, Busted Crusted, Lauren, Lainey, Morgan, Katie, Tate, Tot, Ket, and then Bye Baby Angel. Nice job. Nice job. Wow, I did garbage this time. It's okay. My A-push teacher would be so proud. I'm proud. So that is our show for the day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for living with us. Thank you for laughing with us. Drop your memes. I don't think Lena was here taking notes. I hope Lena is feeling better. Not my best work, but I didn't attend the lesson, so it's okay. Thanks, teacher. Welcome, grocery store Pete. But yeah, drop your memes. I'll hang out for a couple minutes, but I do want to get this upload started. And I need to put together my air purifier tonight before I go to bed. I have to bring it and put it together. Thank you all for being here. I love this. I loved this lesson. I thought it was so fun. Wait, I might want to redo our class pick. Let me see. No, I like it. It's good. It's good. When's the next stream? Monday. Monday. Oh my God. Speaking of the next stream, that's not what I wanted. Okay. This is what I wanted. Speaking of the next stream, I have something. So something I'm doing on the next stream is wholesome teacher stories. So if you have a story about a teacher you really liked, someone that did something that really impacted you, anything of that nature, here is a Google form to bring me your wholesome teacher story. But yeah, that's what I'm doing next Monday on stream. When you're at work and ate your lunch for breakfast, and now you ain't got no lunch for lunch. Yeah, I fucking feel that. All right. Thank you for being here. I loved this. Have a good night. Make good choices. If you have a wholesome teacher story, feel free to drop it. Okay. Love you. Bye.